Hello there, I'm Sir Fancy and welcome in this tutorial where I will show you how to create explosion in a Niagara. It should look something like that. And you can of course change here a color. So let's say that I want that fire to be a bit more reddish. Well, it's already red, so a bit more greenish. And here we go, we have it greenish. Let's change smoke, etc, etc. And you can of course add here another one that will be red as it was before. Everything created in Niagara, so it should be easy to do. I'm going to use project that I have created in previous tutorials, and I have here already emitters for fire and for smoke, and you will need them for this tutorial. So I would recommend you to firstly watch these two previous tutorials so you can have all these emitters. You of course have a link in the description or somewhere here in this eye. So let's get to it. We will create new folder and let's call it explosion. Open it, and we will have to create here a new FX and Niagara system. And let's click on new system from selected emitters, and we will click on directional burst. So click on this little plus that will add it to our project and finish. So now we will call that system NS as Niagara system underscore explosion. Alright, so now we have here some burst. That looks sorta cool, but not really what we are looking for. So first of all, let's change here some settings. Let's click on drag under a particle update and we will decrease it because we don't want them to stick so much together. So let's put it on 0.6. Then find a gravity force, and now it's set to minus 980. Let's do like minus 300. We don't want it to fall that much. And on particle spawn, you can see we have add velocity in a cone. And what we need to do is to click on this cone axis. Right now it's set to X and Z, which causes this burst on this left side. Because if we put it in the game, right here, you can see it's just going on the side, but that's not what we want. We want, of course, to disable X axis, so set it to 0. And now if we see, it's already looking pretty good, but let's also set Z to 1 and see what it does. Alright, one more time. If you need to reset it, you can here on the right side click on Force Solo. That's good. Maybe I would actually increase velocity a bit, so let's minimum set to 200 and maximum only to 300. That should be fine. And we should have here cone angle, so let's make it bigger. Let's set it to 60. Alright, that was kind of hard to see, so let's reset it. That's way too low, so between 300 and 600 should be fine. So now I also want to see, once it will burst out, to not fall through this, what is it? Some weird metallic floor. Anyway, so let's click on particle update and add here collision. Click on fix issue, that will put it in front of solve forces and velocity. And now as you can see, most of them, once it bursts out, will stay on the floor and sort of simulate its collisions. So the next thing would be to let it live a bit longer so we can see now how it is looking on the floor. So on initiate particle we have here lifetime between 0.8 to 1.75. So let's set it to between 1 to 2.5. Oh, come on. 2.5. And it's looking better. One more time. Yeah, I kinda like that. Alright, so now let's actually add here some explosion. Something exploding would be pretty cool. So, let's click again on our Niagara system explosion and we'll add here a new emitter. So right click, add emitter, and if you don't have here anything, you need to go into view options and show, I believe, engine content. Yeah, you need to show engine content. So let's put here empty and click on it. If you can't add it, you probably need to close it and open again. It sometimes happens. So what I will do here is to click on sprite render and find here explosion. And if you don't have here this material, this M explosion sub UVs, you probably don't have starter content, so you can just import it right here. And just let's quickly look at it. And you can see that we will be working with this texture built of 6 by 6 frames of explosion. So for that to work, we need to click here on sub UVs and set it to 6 by 6. So let's click on emitter update and put here spawn burst instantaneous. Probably pronounce it wrong, doesn't matter. And let's set spawn counts to about 5. What it does, let's see. It showed us something, but it's really small. Look at that. So we will go into initiate particle and make it much bigger. Let's try 150 by 150 just for the start. And that's cool, still a bit too small and looking kinda ugly. So what we are going to do is to click on particle update and add here animation to do sub UV animation and set it to 36 because we know we have 36 frames in that one texture. And look at that, that's starting to looking kinda explosive. I like that. That's cool, but you can see that all of them are spawning on one place. So what I will do is to add here on particle spawn sphere collision. Sphere location, sorry. So now it will spawn in this location of sphere. Let's make it smaller, about 20, and set it only on Z hemisphere. And you probably don't need to add surface on the base. That will look pretty good already. And it lives for way too long. So if you look at initiate particle, you can say lifetime is 5, which looks weird, so let's set it to 1, and it's looking much better. But what's the problem? We have our emitters properties set. Oh no, where is it? Emitter. Here we go. Emitter update. You need to switch loop behavior from infinite to once because we want it to explode only once. So let's start it, and hey, that's better. That's much better. So what we want to do is to also not have all of them at the same color, and let's disable mask and click on this sprite size and let's convert it to float because we need only one value. We don't need to change its x and y axis separately. And now let's put here a random ranged float, and the 150 was pretty good, so I would go from 130 to 200. Let's see, that's not bad, but not really what I would like it to be. Let's try to increase sphere location, maybe it will help. 55. I feel like they are still spawning at the same place. What we also need to do is to click on our lifetime and randomize it. So uninform ranged float, and between 0.6 to 1.2. Oh, that's looking a bit better. What do you think? So let's try to enable that surface only. Maybe that will help. Oh, it looks a bit better. Maybe we should make it a bit smaller. So on initiate particle we have to do size between 120 to 160 and create more of them. Or maybe we don't even need to create more of them. Yeah, I would say that looks better. That's not everything, of course. Let's also make it much bigger after some time. So on particle update, let's add here sprite scale sprite size, and what we will do is to again convert it to vector 2D float and put here curve float from curve. And what this does is basically on a point on time of 0, it will have size of 1, and then it will scale slowly down, which is not exactly what we want. We want to actually add here key, set it on time 0. Let's do 4, and put that on, let's try value 2, and on time 1, let's do only about 1.5, something like that, and see what it does. That will basically scale it up as it will grow. Of course, click on all of them, right click and auto. And you can maybe scale it a bit like this. Oh, it's looking better, look at that. So it almost looks like it's kind of going up. What we can actually do to randomize it a bit more, let's click on Initiate Particle and Sprite Rotation. Let's randomize it to a uniform range float between 0 and 360. Let's also make it shine a little bit. So I will start by putting here light. But we can't use too much light because it's quite performance heavy. So let's set scale radius to 5. If you are making it only on mobile, on a computer, you probably can mess with this a bit more. But if you are making it for VR or mobile game, probably don't even use light render, to be honest. But don't worry about that. We will find a way around it, and I will show it to you shortly. So let's see, it looks a bit better, I like it. Oh, and I should have of course renamed it, so click on this empty emitter and right click and rename it to E_explosion. So what I will do in a particle update, let's put here color, scale color. Let's take this scale RGB and let's put it into curve, vector from curve. And what you want to do is to, of course, start on 1. That's absolutely alright. And if you go to 0, it should even disappear. Yeah, we don't want that. So let's select all of these. If you just take it like this, you should have all of them and set value to 1. So now what I want to do is to firstly work only with red axis. So let's hide Y and Z. Right click on it, and in the meantime, let's go with 0.4 because at the same time we make it biggest. Let's set the value to, let's try 50. Well, let's see what it does. It starts almost invisible. It's not invisible, but at pretty normal colors, and then it will shine more and more and slowly go down again. That's cool. We probably don't need to go with down completely. Let's go with only like 5. And let's add a bit of a green. So green again. I'll add a key. Let's lock our red, and on green with green again on 0.4 of time. Let's put here value like 2. Oh, that should be fine. And lock it, and then with Z-axis add here another on 0.4, and let's do 10 maybe. They will add a bit of a reddish color. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So now actually start by clicking on these 2 icons. That will put it into right frame. After you click on it, you can zoom in, zoom out, etc. Let's quickly unlock it and right click, switch it to auto, just to make it smoother. And now let's lock it again so you don't mess it up. Or I don't mess it up, which is much more likely. And because right now it's pretty hard to see which, okay, I have here only 1, so I know which one it is. But let's say that I have more of them here. Let's click on this and thumbnail. So now we have here this thumbnail saved. And you could have seen it in the game. It's starting to look pretty good. Kinda explosive, like that. So let's add here on emitter spawn burst. Let's put here 10. Let's also make sure that we can properly see this shrapnel. So let's rename it. Right click, E_shrapnel. And you can see here that sprite size is set by velocity, which means the faster it goes, the lower it is, smaller it is, I believe. Well, whatever. Let's add these numbers. So let's say that this will be minimum scale factor will be between 3. Okay, that's way too much. Between 2 and 3. And this one will be between, that's too big. Sorry, mate, that just won't work. Between 1 and 2. And let's do between 1.5 and 2. And I don't really like how quickly it disappears, which partly I can change again with initiate particle lifetime, and I actually will. Let's go between 0.75 and 2.5, that's alright. The problem is that it's disappearing when it's getting older, and it's probably set somewhere here. into the scale color right here. Yeah, you can see that we have here set scale alpha, and by the end of its life its alpha is getting to 0, so it's alright, but I want it to happen much later. So I will add another key on, let's say time 0.75, and value will be about 75. Let's do 75. Yeah, that's much better. Let's increase actually that gravity that I have changed to minus 500, so it falls down faster. And in particle, no, where are we? Initiate particle. I want to make it reddish and shiny, so let's add here color to about only 30 on red, 0.5 on green, and about 5 on blue. Or you can change it to whatever you want, of course, just to kinda make it... Okay, that color is terrible. Yeah, I've actually mixed those. Green will be to 5 and blue to 1 or even lower. Let's reset it. That's better. That's a bit better. You can of course do probably much better than me. And these fire and smoke emitters I am adding now are from the previous tutorial, so if you haven't watched them, you of course have to, as I said in the beginning. And again, right click, add emitter, e_fire, and let's also add here smoke, so add emitter, e_smoke, and smoke with velocity. Oh, of course, one last thing I forgot with our e-shrapnel, we also need to add here sphere location, because right now it's starting from the center, which looks kind of bad. So on particle spawn, just add here sphere location to about 80. Oh, okay, about 50 on Z. That should add it. Yeah, that's better. Alright, so now back in our smoke and fire, and first thing we will do is that we don't want to spawn it when this explosion will happen. We want to spawn it in about 0.75 when it starts disappearing. Let's do 0.7. So click on e-fire and e-fire actually, and now you can see how inconsistent I'm with my naming, my bad. Click on emitter update, and you can see here a loop delay, so let's set it to 0.7. And smoke with velocity, same thing, loop delay 0.7. And now even down here on our timeline you can see how it moved it. So let's see. Yeah, we have here this really small smoke, so let's just make it bigger and change its color. Let's take sphere location and make it a bit bigger. Let's do like 30. Just see what it does. That's kind of cool. So now let's, you know what, let's actually move that fire to 0.6. So emitter update, loop delay 55, and you will have to do the same thing with smoke. You can see any smoke, but we will change that later, don't worry about that. And let's increase the amount of smoke we have. So spawn rate set to 20. That's kind of cool, but we also need to change its size, of course. So initiate particle, we have here sprite attribute size between 40 to 60. Let's do like 80 to 100, and let's do 90 to 130. Now that's starting to burn properly. I would probably now increase that sphere velocity, sphere location. So about 50. How does it look in the game? A bit too much, a bit too spherish, I would say. We change surface. If we change surface expansion to center, should it help? Yeah, I would say that's a bit better. Now increase it to like 70. That's kinda better. But now I don't really like how high it is, so let's click back on initiate particle and set that y-axis only to about 100. Yeah, wait, Did that even change the height? Yeah, I think that it did. Let's make it even smaller. 70 to 85. Yeah, that's kinda cool. That's kinda cool. So what I will do now is to click on any explosions and change fire color and smoke amount. So fire color will of course go with pretty much same values as that explosion, so 55 and 1. That should create some nice fire. And I know where the problem is. We have too much lifetime. I'm sorry, I kind of forget about that. In fire, we have here particle spawn, and in this lifetime, let's change it to wrench. Come on. Wrench float, and let's put it to between 0.8 to 0.2. And now that should look much more fiery. I would probably make it longer, between 1 and 0.5, and let's spawn more of them, like 30. And look at that, now it's starting to look fire-ish just enough. So now let's also add here some smoke. So back in NS explosions, and let's set smoke amount to 50. What did we do? That's actually quite a lot. Let's try like 30. And we will have to again increase sphere location to about same amount as in fire. So sphere location here is 70. And let's set it the same. Yeah. And it's dying a bit too soon, so let's increase its lifetime from 1 to 2 to 4, 2 to 4, and what do we have here? Maybe I can increase velocity a bit, 2 and 2, and let's increase amount. And of course the color, let's put it a bit more darker and reddish. That usually looks pretty good with fire. And let's do 35 on smoke amount. Yeah, I would say that's starting to look kinda cool. I think that there is still way too much fire, but you know, let's decrease it. I can't look at that, that fire is terrible. Decrease its spawn rate to about 20, and sphere location, let's do like 30. 35. Spawn rate. Oh, that's better. You can of course change everything here, so if you copy that and want it this time to fire to be a bit more greenish, switch green to 50, red to 1 and blue to 5. That should give you some proper green color. Yeah, I would have to change smoke, so let's do that since I'm here. Shouldn't be too hard to change. Let's force it to do for solo. Yeah, you can of course change also the color of explosion, but you would need to change you would need to create parameter for that, etc., which takes just a few seconds. But I discussed it in previous tutorials, so you can watch it there. I hope that you learned something, and that will be everything from me. Sir Fancy out.